The second primary key that we're going to talk about here are going to talk about images. Now, a lot of the problems that people have with images is they're either the wrong amount of images on a page, too many, too few, whatever. They are poor quality, which is an instant way to ruin a really good design, or they're the wrong size, right? So when I start thinking about images on a website, I think about images like I would think about condiments on a burger, or for my vegetarian friends, a veggie patty. You know, if you have too many, it just gets gross and sloppy, and it's hard to kind of, wrap yourself around it. If you have too few, it just turns out plain. I mean, I'm sure that you've all seen blogs where, if there aren't any ancillary images and you just have just text shooting down the page, it's pretty boring. It's hard to kind of wrap yourself and get enthralled in that content. So my 3 tips for images are, number 1, there's no perfect number. And for everybody that likes rules and it's got to be this, it's got to be that, I apologize, but realistically it takes as many images as it takes for your particular piece of content. Most of the times 1 to 2 images is probably going to be sufficient, okay? But there have been times when I put together a blog post or something like that where I may have 7 or 9 images. Like if I'm doing something like the 7 coolest SEO based plugins for WordPress, for each one of those plugins, I may have a screenshot that shows you why I think it's so cool. In that instance, is that too many images? I don't think so, because each one of those graphics supports the text that's right next to it, right? So, the big key there is just make sure that it's supportive and that it kind of enhances the text instead of takes away from it. The one thing to keep in mind with quantity of images or having a large number of images on your site is one of the things that search engines look at in terms of trying to figure out where you're going to rank in their algorithm is site load time. So the more images that you have on your web page, the longer your site load time is going to be. So your page is going to be slower to load up. Search engines are looking at that now, companies like Google and Bing, and they're saying, look, if it's going to take a long time to load that information, let's put them down a little bit further on the list. So make sure that you keep that in mind if you've got a lot of images on your page. Now, the second tip that I've got for images is poor quality. Don't use your camera phone. Listen, I've got an iPhone, and it takes pretty good pictures, of my cats or my daughter or my lunch or whatever the case is, but I'm not going to use those pictures for my website. So please, 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 if you're going to use imagery on your website, either try to get professional photography done, which, it's not that expensive, or try to go with a stock photography site. There's companies like iStock Photo, I think is who we use primarily. And for $2 or $3, you can get a high quality professional graphic that you can put on your website, and it enhances, it doesn't take away from it, okay? So again, don't use poor quality photos. The third thing is make sure that you don't use incorrectly sized images, right? We don't want to use print quality images on the web because print quality images, they're larger images or significantly larger images. That's going to hurt your page load time and that's going to hurt your search results. So make sure that you use web quality graphics for the web. Also, if you have a large picture, make sure that you are resizing that image with some sort of a photo manipulation program, a Photoshop, a GIMP, Microsoft Paint. I don't really care what it is, but if you've got a big picture, make sure that you shrink it down before you load it up to your web server and put it on your page. Because if you leave that big image up there and then you shrink it down with just your height and width tags on your image tag, what happens is the web browser still needs to load that really big image. So it loads the big image and then crunches it down. So again, large page load times, it's going to hurt your search engine results, okay? Now the third primary element that we're going to talk about is video, and I don't have a whole lot of issues with that. My one issue with video is that not enough small businesses are actually using it for business. Now if you remember in the first video we talked about communication, how 7% of communication is communicated through the words that we use. We've got 38% that are actually communicated through the tone of our voice, and 55% is actually communicated through our body language and kind of how we're talking and moving. So video is awesome on the web because it has it all. You've got the words, you've got the tone, you've got the voice. So why not do it? And trust me on this one. For the next couple of years, video is going to be huge. So if you're not using it right now, my suggestion is go ahead and get started. If you don't think that you can, trust me, you absolutely can, okay? You know, we're shooting this video right here. I've got a $150 flip camera, basically. It's a little Kodak ZI-8 camera. I've got a $30 microphone clipped to my shirt, and I've got a $10 remote control in my back pocket that I turn the camera on and off with. That's it, less than 200 bucks, and I'm sitting here shooting video. YouTube's free, okay? So go ahead and make sure that you get started. So my 3 tips for the video are, number 1, get started. Get started immediately. If your competitors aren't doing it, that's awesome. You can be the first one. You can be the forerunner, right? People want to use video. Take a look at how popular YouTube is, right? People are digging video right now. If you're worried about, are my first videos not going to be very good? Don't worry about it. They're probably not going to be. You know, I'm just telling you the truth. You know, when you first get started, it's a little weird kind of talking into a camera, and you know, there's no feedback. It's not like speaking on a stage or talking to a client or something like that. It doesn't matter. Remember, repetition is the mother of all learning. So the more that you do, the better you're going to get. I mean, we're still getting started with this stuff. I mean, we're still newbies. But, you know, I can tell you right now, I'm a lot more comfortable talking to a camera now than I was 3 months ago. Okay? So again, repetition is the mother of all learning. The second thing that I want to talk about with videos is make sure that you're providing value. Now, that seems relatively obvious. You know, yeah, that's a no-brainer, right? But it's one of those situations where common sense is not always so common. You know what I mean? There's a guy that I like to listen to. His name's Brendon Burchard. He's one of these expert guru guys or whatever, but he's got really killer content. Check him out if you get a chance. But one of the things that he says, when you're shooting video, whether it's free, he says, shoot video like you're going to charge for it. So when we put these videos together, you know, I mean, we're asking for a fair amount of your time. These are going to be 15, 20, 30-minute videos. I want to make sure that I'm delivering content and that I'm delivering value here, okay? So make sure that you're providing value, because you're asking people for, you know, the most important resource that they have, which is going to be their time. Now, the third tip that I've got for video is going to be make sure that you distribute it. Now, I love YouTube. YouTube is awesome. Second largest search engine on the planet. It's good to go. Love Google. Awesome too. But they're not the only fish in the sea, right? There's companies like Vimeo and Vidler, and you know, you can do video on Facebook or, you know, blip.tv. There are a bunch of these places that you can go to have your video content viewed. So what you can do is when you shoot your video, and after you get done uploading it to YouTube because you want to have it out there, you know, you can go ahead and manually upload it to these other sites and get different users, get different customer bases looking at your content. Or if you prefer, if you've got a couple of bucks, there are distribution services. You know, the couple that come to mind right now are TubeMogul.com or Mike Koenig has TrafficGeyser.com. I think they're both about a 50, 100 bucks a month, something like that. But what you can do is you can actually load your video up one time. You fill out all the form, the name, the descriptions, the keywords, all that other stuff. And once you load it up, it actually distributes it to all these other places. So now instead of just loading it up to one place like YouTube, you can load it up to 15 different places at a time. It's a good way to get yourself access to a completely different customer base than the ones that are already on YouTube. So I would highly recommend that, okay? Now, the fourth element that we're going to talk about, again, we kind of mentioned these before, were interactive elements that you have on your website. Things like animations, form downloads, calculators, stuff like that. So anytime that you have something like that on your website, you got to be able to ask yourself why. Why is it there? Okay. The most common problem that I see with most small businesses nowadays is either their interactive elements have no purpose, right? It's just some sort of a flash animation that just kind of does stuff. You know, it's deceptive, or it doesn't actually do what you tell people you're going to do, or you know, there's no follow-up, which is horrible. So when we're talking about interactivity, you got to think, why am I doing this? You know, what's the purpose behind doing this? First of all, because you probably paid somebody to either develop that flash animation or integrate that form or whatever the case is. But, you know, why is it? How is this going to help your customers get closer and closer and closer to the decision that you want them to make? Okay, so think about that when you get ready to start working on these things. So my 3 tips for interactive element are going to be, number 1, if you've got animations on your website that don't specifically serve your customers, if it's a header that's got, you know, something flying around, or if it's some sort of an animated under construction graphic, you know, I know you guys have seen those things. I've seen a million of them, and they're all bad. If those don't specifically serve your customers, dump them. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to end up taking their mind away from and taking them out of the state that you want them in to make that next step that's going to take that action that's going to result in a business for you, or a lead, or an appointment set, or whatever the case may be, okay? So if it doesn't serve anybody, dump it, okay? Number 2, don't be deceptive, okay? When you're talking about names and emails and people filling out forms and giving you information online, absolutely do exactly what you're going to say. You know, I've gone through things and they say, click here, you know, give me your name and your email for instant access to this. And I'd put my name and my email and I wouldn't get instant access to it. Either I wouldn't get it or they'd mail it to me the next day or something like that. You know, I will unsubscribe from those things. People are not kidding when it comes to their contact information. If you say that you're going to give instant access, give them instant access and make sure that the content is really killer, okay? And then the third piece about the interactive elements is make sure that you're following up, right? Remember, let's take a look at why we're doing this, right? The reason why we've got these interactive elements on our website is because we want to start to build a relationship with these people, right? We want to start to engage with the people that are coming and visiting on our websites. So is that a one-time thing? No, absolutely not. So make sure that you use some sort of an autoresponder or something like that, right? So if somebody comes on and they're going to download this report, it's really cool, it's something about, you know, 5 tips on search engine optimization, I'm interested. I'll download the report, I'll give them my name, my email, that's great. What would be smart is if a couple days later I got another email, and these can all be automated, that says, hey, just wanted to make sure you had a chance to take a look at the report, see if you had any questions that we could help you out with, Mike. Okay? And then maybe 3 or 4 days after that, say, hey, you know, here are some customers that we worked for, here are some of the testimonials, and these are some of the ways that maybe we showed them and we helped them do whatever it is that you're trying to sell them. You know, if you have any questions, let us know. So they don't have to be like really pushy or really salesy. Just, you know, putting in that information, because the thing is people aren't going to give you their name and their email address if they're not interested in the information that you have to offer. So you're not bothering anybody. Go ahead and touch bases with them, because remember, your customers aren't going to buy just because they download a form. That doesn't mean they're ready to buy right now, right? A customer is going to buy on their own time, not your time. So our goal as business owners is we want to make sure that we stay in touch with that person by giving them relevant content, right? By providing value to them, so that when they are ready to pull the trigger, when they've done all their comparison shopping and they've looked around and they've done this and that, and they're ready to go, we want to be the people that they remember. They're going to be like, hey, you know what, Mike was a guy, he was giving me all that great content, all that great information. He seems like a pretty knowledgeable guy. I'm going to go ahead and give him my business. That's our goal, and that's what we're here for, okay? All right, so there we have it. Content catastrophes in a nutshell. So remember, we learned a few things today. Number 1, we know that people search online for one main reason, right? And that's to solve a problem that they currently have. We also learned that we know 100% of the people that are landing on your website are going to take some sort of action, right? And we also know that the best way that we can get them to take the action that we want them to take, as opposed to the action that they are naturally inclined to take, is through great content, okay? We talked about 4 primary elements of content. We talked about text, images, video, and interactive elements. And for each one of those, we talked about do's and don'ts and some common mishaps. So, you know, I just really want to just take this opportunity to say thank you for sticking it out with me today. Hopefully we've given you some tools that you can go ahead and walk away with and put those into action right away. You know, if you're working on content for a website, use these as a guide. If you already have a website, excuse me, go ahead and audit the content. You know, kind of take a look and see what's going on and see how you're converting on that stuff. So if you like this video, make sure that you like it. Feel free to share it with your colleagues and your friends. If you have any questions about anything that we talked about, or something maybe that I didn't talk about, make sure that you enter them down below and I'll go ahead and answer all those personally, okay? So finally, one last thing. If you haven't signed up for the Does Your Website Suck sweepstakes, what are you waiting for? It's a free website. Why wouldn't you do it? Don't be silly. Sign up, click the button, and go take care of that. So until next time, we're going to talk about search engine optimization. We'll see you soon.